know what they say, we plan and someone laughs. We plan, God laughs. Anyway, I'm not sure about the God stuff, but we plan and then there's a joke on us, right? But let's do it anyway. Let's plan fall. Let's go ahead and be ambitious. Hi everyone, it's me, Jazz. Got Nola here chewing on a bone, so apologies ahead of time for any background noise. I'm not quite finished all of the books that I started, that I was reading in August. I'm not quite finished all of them. I have a couple of larger, bigger books in August, and I'm not quite finished them, so I know it's the middle of September, and I'm not ready to do a September wrap up, but that's just the way it goes sometimes, right? So beginning of the semester has kind of kicked my butt. So I'm just coming on, well, I asked everyone what you wanted to see. I thought I could do a recent reads, but actually more people want to see plans, fall reading and channel plans, than want to hear about recent reads. So that's fine with me. True to form, I'm going to be ambitious. There are quite a few things going on, just a few things going on in the booktube world. And I am getting distracted by prize lists and such from my original plans for the year. And so part of this is me checking back in with my original plans for the year, looking at the last quarter of the year, the fall season, and I guess beginning of winter, December anyway, Christmas time, and thinking about what am I gonna have on my channel. So that's what I've done. There are a few things that I'm trying not to feel dismayed about. I guess I'll first talk about my wrapped TBR. So back in December, I wrapped up the books that were on my TBRs from 2022 that I didn't get to. And that was really fun because it was full of expectation and full of ambition and full of hope. And I still have 15 books left. I think I had like 21, so that means that I've read 6, which is not too bad, actually. But I still have 15 books left on that TBR, and of course there's only 3 months left of the year. So I'm obviously not going to read all 15 of them. We'll have to figure out what to do with them at the end if I just unwrap them all. Something. I have to figure out what to do with that wrapped TBR at the end because I'm going to do it again next year, I think. And I'm going to have a whole stock of new books that are wrapped. Now, I'm not sure if I should just pile on with the wrapped TBR. Yeah, still trying to figure that one out, what I want to do with it. So there's that. I am going to try to prioritize pulling one book at least from the wrapped TBR for the next 3 months. So that I want to do. I went back and I looked at my classics list. I am going to try to read The Wide Sargasso Sea this month. And I do have a plan to read one of the books on my classics TBR in the months coming up for one of the events. But the 2 books that I really would like to get to that were on my classics TBR that I'm not sure if I will, but I'm definitely going to prioritize. The first is Stoner, which a lot of people have talked about and talked about being wonderful and enjoying so much, by John Williams. It's about the life of a man who is in academia. He becomes a teacher. He has a quiet life and maybe doesn't have, I don't know, it's maybe about the idea of what your impact is or what a life is. I think that's kind of the theme or the idea. And I've just been really wanting to get to it for most of the year. So I'm really hoping that that will actually happen in the fall. And then the other book that I really want to read is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. This is supposed to be like a look at the experience of being Black at a certain time in America. So I think it's a difficult book to summarize. And I remember having trouble summarizing it when I talked about it for that TBR. But I know that it's about race as a way of dealing with the sheer rhetorical challenge involved in communicating across our barriers of race and religion, class, color, and region. Barriers which consist of the many strategies of division that were designed and still function to prevent what would otherwise have been a more or less natural recognition of the reality of black and white fraternity. So I just think that sounds amazing. I think it sounds really good, and I've heard very good things about it, and I would really like to get to it. It's quite long, it's over 500 pages, but I do like a big book, so I'm sort of hoping that that will happen. I'm going to prioritize those two, but of course you never know. You never know. We do have Victober happening, and I had a book chosen for Victober, which I think qualifies, but noticed that Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot is reading this one in November. So that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I've been wanting to read this for a couple of years, and I think it's great for Victober because the main character, Margaret Hale, is supposed to be one of those memorable characters, female characters of Victorian fiction. So I think I'm going to try to read this for Victober, but because my school semester is quite demanding in October, it might be one that I start in October and read through into November as part of Sandy's book club and participate in both in that regard. So that is my choice for Victober, which, by the way, I've never participated in Victober before. I'm going to link all of the information in the description box below about that month-long readathon, because there are a lot of different prompts and there are a lot of different suggestions, and people are filming different TBRs for Victober. So that is my choice for sure. That for sure. And it was on my classics list as well. So these are kind of the three classics that I'm really going to be focusing on in the fall. I didn't know that two of my favorite booktubers were going to be starting book clubs this year, but they did. So now I have two new book clubs to participate in on a monthly basis, and that just feels kind of overwhelming. And then in addition to some booktubers who I already follow and love who run book clubs that I didn't realize about, like the FOMO book club, which Gemma and Alice run. Alice and Gemma are wonderful. I'll link their information down below. So it's just, there's a lot of book club action happening in booktube, or at least in my booktube world. So I'm going to try to participate as best I can. I might not be able to participate in each one each month. For sure, next month, I know Eric Carl Anderson started a Patreon and it has a book club, and we all voted, and we voted for The Waves by Virginia Woolf, which I'm actually really excited for because I've only read, I have not read much by Virginia Woolf. I've read Flush and I've read Orlando, and Orlando is one of my favorite books ever. And so I'm very excited to read The Waves, and I've been meaning to read more of Virginia Woolf's work for some time, so this is really going to push me, and I'm super excited about that. And then Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot just started his Patreon, which I joined, and I would encourage you to join, and he has a book club running. And I just voted on the book for September, which I think I'm going to have to take a pass on because it's already the middle of September and I'm really behind in my reading. But I'm excited to see what comes, what gets voted on and what ideas come up for books to read in that book club as well. And then I have my regular book clubs, like the ones that are not booktube run book clubs, which, now it sounds maybe awful, but I'm thinking of dropping one of them. I don't know how to juggle it all, you know? I don't know how to juggle it all. And then so there's one book club for sure that I'm going to be sticking with because we've been picking some good books, and I've made a friend. Hi, Katya, if you're watching. And an in-person friend from that book club, which is amazing. It's always so much fun when that happens. When I'm looking for the book that I want to talk about, because I'm also buddy reading. Where is my pile? Oh, it's behind me. I'm also regularly buddy reading now with one of my subscribers, Lori. Hi, Lori. And we have chosen a book already for October, so that is very exciting. We're going to read Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris. This was longlisted for the Women's Prize this year, and lots of people talked about how good it was. I think it's set in Sarajevo in the spring of 1992. and it's about a woman who decides to stay in Sarajevo at the beginning of the war. It's supposed to be really great, so I've been wanting to read that, had a hard time getting it. Now I've got it. I'm definitely going to be reading it in October with Lori, so that is very exciting. So a lot of exciting things that have happened over the course of the year that I didn't expect to happen. So going back and looking at those goals for the beginning of the year, and I had a few projects. One of them I will get to in a minute. Some of them I've done, and some of them I haven't gotten to. And that's just because there have been these other wonderful things happening, which is very exciting. I have the college reading project, which I was very excited about, and I did do the college reading vlog, and I thought I am considering what to do for my vlogs. I thought I could do a second installment of the college reading vlog, and I don't know where I would visit, but these are some of the books. These are the other books that I talked about when I was trying to decide the last time I did a channel reading plans and channel update. I have Monkey Beach by Eden Robinson, Night by Elie Wiesel, Fish in Exile by Vi Khi Nao, A Streetcar Named Desire by Tenessee Williams, and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I did not get to this summer. I think it would be fun to maybe read 2 or 3 of those together in a vlog this fall. If not, I might save it for next year's college reading vlog, or I might switch the books out for some of the books that either my friends who are English language, I know that's a Quebec thing to say, English language. My friends who are English state-up teachers, college teachers, might recommend some books to me, or I might move it on to be at like uni, literature program in uni, because that's the level where the classes are that my daughter is currently taking, so I could read some of the books that she would recommend from her classes for next year. So I'm a little on the fence about what I'm going to do with that, but I loved that vlog and I loved making that vlog, and it does seem like a lot of people really enjoyed that vlog, so I want to keep that as a regular installment on the channel. So we could have an installment of college reading this fall. It seems to make sense, right, to do that? It is fall. It is back to school time. The other project that I had was to do like a Booker project where I read the past Booker winners, but I've gotten very enamored of the current long list, or at least some books on the current long list. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to go back this year. I still want to do it. It's just a question of time. Will I have the time? So originally I was going to read these 2 books. The last 2, actually it's not the last 2, because the Seven Moons of, I'm not remembering right now, but the Seven Moons won last year, and I don't know, that book really intimidates me, so it just seems complicated, and when I hear people talk about it, they say how complicated it is. So I was going to read Shuggie Bain, which I haven't read, which I need to read. I need to read Shuggie Bain, and The Promise by Damon Galgut. So I might still do that as a reading vlog, or I might incorporate these 2 books into my TBRs moving forward, along with all the Booker Prize long list of books. So not all of them, but some of them. Like, I've definitely heard mixed reviews about the Booker long list. I'm very grateful to other booktubers who actually read the full long list and give their comments, especially Scott, because he does such an amazing job. I'm currently reading The Bee Sting and loving it, and I think because of Scott, I'm probably going to read How to Build Your Boat, How to Build a Boat, and House of Doors, which is the House of Doors and The Bee Sting were the 2 picks for Eric Carl Anderson's book club, but I just haven't gotten a copy. I haven't been able to get my hands on a copy. So yeah, already that's probably more. I've already probably bitten off more than I can chew. And we haven't even talked about my distracting Giller Prize. The Giller Prize has also distracted me. It has very much distracted me. I did pick up 1 book from the long list, We Meant Well. I just did an exploration of the Giller Prize long list, and this stood out to me as sounding really interesting. It's a debut novel by Erum Shazia Hasan. It's about, and it's really interesting because Erum Shazia Hasan actually works for the United Nations, so I think it'll be probably pretty well informed. But it's about a charitable organization, and there's some kind of scandal with the charitable organization, and then it's about the unraveling of that, and I think questions, from what I gather, it questions the role of charitable organizations and who gets charity and how and what are other strings attached, and kind of a look at that world. And it really captured my imagination, and so I picked it up. I definitely really want to read it, maybe even before October 11th when the shortlist comes out. In terms of when would I do a reading vlog, I get a break in October. Even though it is kind of the busiest time in my semester, I do have what's called a study break. So I'm still available to students, but I might have a little bit more time to vlog and work on a vlog. So that's a possibility. And I always participate in the Reindeer Readathon in December, which is fantastic. It's a readathon that's organized by Eric over at Break-Even Books. And yeah, I can't say enough about it. I've loved doing it the last 2 years, and I'll probably do that again. And I'll probably do some Vlogmas reading vlogs around that time too. So it'll be interesting to see what I end up with there. In addition to that, we have Nonfiction November, which I don't normally participate in Nonfiction November either. Often I think just because it's, again, a very busy time of year, and I don't tend to lean towards nonfiction books. But I have been really captivated by Patrick Radden Keefe and Northern Ireland in general. Since I read Trespasses by Louise Kennedy, I've been wanting to know more about the Irish conflict, and this is supposed to be fantastic. It says it's called Say Nothing, a true story of murder and memory in Northern Ireland. So I'm hoping to get to that. It just is supposed to be amazing. And then in terms of nonfiction for a memoir, I ordered Alan Cumming's memoir, Baggage, Tales from a Fully Packed Life. I'm a massive fan of Alan Cumming, and I think it would be fun to read a little bit about kind of his take on his life and his experiences. I think it would be a fun book to jump into. I also have the Carrie Brownstein book that I got out of my book box, so that's another one that I might try to read. I think I've already read it, actually. I think I already read it a while ago. So that's kind of, and then I might read more than that, or I might look at more than that for Nonfiction November. I'm not sure. I'm kind of excited at the idea of reading some nonfiction. We can't forget about spooky season. Like, for sure in October, I want to read some scary books because I love the scary books. I love the scary books. So a couple of ideas. One of my goals at the beginning of the year was to read more short stories. And since I read and really loved Our Share of Night, I'm thinking of reading The Dangers of Smoking in Bed, which is her collection of short stories. Mariana Enriquez. I really liked Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin, and I haven't gotten to Little Eyes. I've heard it's really creepy, so that I might read during spooky season. I also really want to read another book by Stephen Graham Jones, and I think Night of the Mannequins could be good. This could be a fun reading vlog in spooky season. And I have a couple of other ideas for spooky season, but I'll leave them to talk about until a little later. Hey Nola, could you not? Oh boy, here we go. Nola, stop barking. Oh, another one that I was wanting to read during spooky season was Damages. I talked about this when I looked at all the recommendations for summer reading by the Globe and Mail, and this just sounds great. It's set during the ice storm in 1997. And it goes back and forth. It goes back to 1997 and back to current day 2020. And it's about a murder that happens in a dorm, I think, or someone goes missing in a dorm during the ice storm. And I actually really kind of want to read it. It's one of those ones that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. So I may get to that as well. Other books that I definitely want to try to get to that I'm kind of really keeping high up on the list. Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. The Friend, which Kat talked a lot about. Elena Knows, which a lot of people in my comments have said. When I did that video about reading women in translation, a lot of people commented how good Elena Knows is. Jessica Andrews' book, Milk Teeth, still very high up on my wish list for what I want to get to. And Time Shelter. I really do want to try to get to Time Shelter. So this is a lot of books, guys. really hoping to get to some of these. And then the last pile I have is the pile of library books that I have not gotten to yet, or that I have started and not finished. For that, we have Chain Gang All-Stars, Small Worlds, which I have to read. It's like next. What Moves the Dead, which could also be good for the creepy months. See how I extended that? I have some questions for you. Now, Rebecca Mackay is one of the judges for the Giller Prize, so I thought it would be fun maybe to read this along with the Giller Prize nominated books. I might wait till the short list comes out for the Giller Prize. Like, I know that from my in-person book club, we're going to be maybe reading something from the short list, so I might wait for that. I'll try to read We Meant Well before that because I'm just really interested in it, but I kind of want to read this. And I know that Jennifer Love's book said that this was one of her, she really, really liked it. I don't know if she said it was a 5-star or if she finally found a great book this year or something along those lines. And then I don't know who it was, but in my Q&A video, somebody asked me if I'd ever read any Clarice Lispector. And I was so intrigued, I had to go and find a Clarice Lispector book. This is called The Chandelier. And Clarice Lispector, it's translated, she's a Brazilian author who I'd not heard of before. So this says, for the first time in English, Clarice Lispector's second novel, I'm starting with the second one, it's the one I could find, a work that helped make her a Brazilian legend. And then I guess she's been rediscovered. It's like a big literary event that I missed somehow. She wrote it when she was only 23 years old. Okay, so The Chandelier consists largely of interior monologues interspersed with odd fragments of dialogue and action, moving forward in intense waves that crests in moments of revelation. That sounds different. Vouchsafed as children to the Society of Shadows, Virginia and her cruel, beautiful brother Daniel grow up in a decaying country mansion. They leave for the city, but the change of locale leaves Virginia's internal life unperturbed. In intensely poetic language, Clarice Lispector conducts a stratigraphic excavation of her thoughts, revealing the drama of Clarice's lifelong quest to discover the nucleus made of a single instinct, and displaying a new face of this great writer blazing with the fierce vitality of youth. Okay, that's a lot of words. I'm intrigued. So I have it up from the library, and I'm hoping to get to that. The other one that I grabbed was Camp Zero, which is a bit of a dystopian, I think. Yeah, it's set in 2049. That sounds great too. Like, I definitely want to read more dystopians. Like, I have The Rabbit Hutch and I have a couple of others. Wow, I would really like to read this. And then I also picked up The New Life by Tom Crew. I'm not sure I'm going to get to it, you know. With all the other possibilities, that's not one that I think I'm probably going to have to take it back to the library. And I probably won't get to it. But so I guess I shouldn't have talked about it. So yeah, those are kind of the books that are hanging around that I'm most gravitating towards. As usual, this can shift and it can change. I'm really hoping that I'm not going to slow down too much on the channel, because I've noticed in the past that I still was able to really keep up with my channel the last 2 years, even in the fall semester. So I'm really hoping that it's not going to affect me too much, but you never know with life what will happen. And I'm a little bit nervous. I have to be able to balance everything, right? And I don't want to give all my time to my work. I want to continue to do what I love. Not that I don't love my work, but I want to continue to do as much as I can for my channel and my reading, because I love it so much, and it's opening up so many worlds and options and possibilities in terms of different books to read and different groups to discuss them with. And it's hard for me to say no to those. So, oh, and there's one last book that I forgot to mention that I would really like to read. I'm hoping actually that it's going to get chosen for our book club. If you've been following me on Instagram, you will have seen that a couple of nights ago I went to see Mona Awad here in Montreal. and she was wonderful, and she talked about her new book Rouge in quite a lot of detail, and I just really want to read it now. I really want to read it. They gave a lot of teasers in the interview that she had with Heather O'Neill, and there was just a lot of teasers that made me really intrigued. So this is inspired by Snow White. It's about beauty. I think she also talked about it being inspired by the picture of Dorian Gray. So it's definitely kind of a look at beauty, light skin being the standard of beauty, as Snow White is still perhaps. The obsession with beauty channels on YouTube, and yeah, sort of like a modern retelling of Snow White. And I think there's some references to other things, like Eyes Wide Shut has been mentioned. Tom Cruise shows up as a character. And I think in true Mona Awad fashion, things kind of go off the rails for the main character. So I definitely want to read it. It might not, I know it'll be good because it's Mona Awad, but I might not be like, it's not going to be another bunny, but I really enjoyed All's Well, which I read earlier this year, and I hesitated, and I'm not going to hesitate this time because I think I can trust her. So I definitely want to read that, maybe in spooky season. That would be really fun to read that as part of a reading vlog as well. So those are kind of my loose plans for the fall. And like I said, I'm not planning on slowing down. I might miss a video here or there. I'm so happy to have so many of you joining me on my channel and my audience, following me. I've been proud enough now that I have 500 subscribers to actually admit this is my hobby to certain friends and colleagues who I might have been a little bit shy to admit that to before. And I think some of them are even watching. So I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good about this next quarter of the year, and I'm really looking forward to making more content for you all. The other things that I am also considering, I'm definitely going to do a deep dive of Middlemarch because I'm finished Middlemarch and I loved it so much. I'm considering doing a couple of deep dives like that. I was considering doing an annotation video. I seem to be veering away from book tags because I have quite a few people who've tagged me, and I just feel so bad because I haven't been able to get to doing those. But I'm sure I will do like 1 or 2 of them moving forward. I'm sure I will do the last one of those, or almost the end of the year book tag, I think is the one. I mean, sort of more of the same, but extensions of certain things. I really want to do another installment of books to pair with, because I did books to pair with Succession, and I'd really like to do books to pair with, or books to read while you're waiting for the next season of The Last of Us. So yeah, I have a few ideas brewing, and I'm just really excited and looking forward to it. I wish I had a little more time is all. So I will do the most with the time that I have. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Thanks if you voted, and I'm always happy to talk about future plans. I'll probably do a recent reads. I'm not sure if I'll do an August wrap up. I might just do a recent reads, depending on where I'm at by mid next week with the reading from August and the reading from September. Those are my plans. May they fall apart gracefully. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Say hi in the comments below. Bye! I've never participated in the House of, is it called House of Doors? Anyway, I think so. Whatever the 3/4 crisis, semi-quarter, I don't know what it's called.